Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवराजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. इस्कॉन बीबीटी फाउंडर आचार्य हिज डिवाइन ग्रेट श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवराजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की जय. वृंदावन धाम की जय. मायापुर धाम की जय. गंगा मैया की जय. यमुना मैया की जय. तुलसी देवी की जय. भक्ति देवी की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय. गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल. समावेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. All glory assemble devotees, Hare Krishna. All glory assemble devotees, Hare Krishna. All glory assemble devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So like every day we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, entitled The Status Quo, Chapter 7. Further inquiries by Vidura, Text 10. Yad arthena vināmuṣya puṁsa ātma-viparyayaḥ pratīyata upadraṣṭuḥ sva-śiraś chedanādikaḥ. Yad arthena vināmuṣya puṁsa ātma-viparyayaḥ pratīyata upadraṣṭuḥ sva-śiraś chedanādikaḥ. Yadarthena vināmuṣya puṁsa ātma-viparyayaḥ pratīyata upadraṣṭuḥ sva-śiraś chedanādikaḥ. Any Vaishnavas? pratīyata upadraṣṭuḥ sva-śiraś chedanādikaḥ arthena vināmuṣya puṁsa ātma-viparyayaḥ pratīyata draṣṭuḥ chedanādikaḥ arthena vināmuṣya Mataji's arthena vināmuṣya ātma-viparyayaḥ chedanādikaḥ Word-to-word meanings. Yat, thus. Arthena, a purpose or meaning. Vinā, without. Amuṣya, of such a one. Puṁsaḥ, of the living entity. ātma-viparyayaḥ, upset about self-identification. Pratīyate, so appear. Upadraṣṭuḥ, of the superficial onlooker. sva-śiraḥ, own head. chedanādikaḥ, cutting off. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. The living entity is in distress regarding his self-identity. He has no factual background, like a man who dreams that he sees his head cut off. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A teacher in school once threatened his pupil that he would cut off the pupil's head and hang it on the wall so that the child could see how his head had been cut off. The child became frightened and stopped his mischief. Similarly, the miseries of the pure soul and the disruption of his self-identification are managed by the external energy of the Lord, which controls those mischievous living entities who want to go against the will of the Lord. Actually, there is no bondage or misery for the living entity, nor does he ever lose his pure knowledge. In his pure consciousness, when he thinks a little seriously about his position, he can understand that he is eternally subordinate to the mercy of the Lord, of the Supreme, and that his attempt to become one with the Supreme Lord is a false illusion. Life after life, the living entity falsely tries to lord it over material nature and become the lord of the material world. But there is no tangible result. At last, when frustrated, he gives up his material activities and tries to become one with the Lord and speculate with much jugglery of words, but without success. These activities are performed under the dictation of the illusory energy. The experience is compared to the experience of one's having his head cut off in a dream. The man whose head has been cut off also sees that his head has been cut off. If a person's head is severed, he loses his power to see. Therefore, if a man sees that his head has been cut off, it means that he thinks like that in hallucination. Similarly, a living entity is eternally subordinate to the Supreme Lord, and he has this knowledge with him, but artificially he thinks that he is God himself, and that although he is God, he has lost his knowledge due to Maya. This conception has no meaning, just as there is no meaning to seeing one's head being cut off. This is the process by which knowledge is covered. And because this artificial rebellious condition of the living entity gives him all troubles, it is to be understood that he should take to his normal life as a devotee of the Lord and be relieved from the misconception of being God. The so-called liberation of thinking oneself God is the last reaction of avidya by which the living entity is entrapped. The conclusion is that a living entity deprived of eternal transcendental service to the Lord becomes illusioned in many ways. Even in his conditional life, he is eternal servant of the Lord. His servitude under the spell of illusory Maya is also a manifestation of his eternal condition of service. Because he has rebelled against the service of the Lord, he is therefore put in the service of Maya. He is still serving, but in a perverted manner. He is still serving, but in a perverted manner. When he wants to get out of service under material bondage, he next desires to become one with the Lord. This is another illusion. The best course, therefore, is to surrender unto the Lord and thus get rid of the illusory Maya for good. As confirmed in Gita 7.14, Daivi hyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation, please responsibly. The living entity is in distress regarding his self-identity. He has no factual background, like a man who dreams that he sees his head cut off. Srila Prabhupada ki Om ajnanatimirandhasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshuru unmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha Shri Chaitanya manobhishtam sthapitam yena bhutale swayam rupa kadamaiham dadati swapadantikam vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास गौरभक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Deenatharanam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So I seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas. So many of my teachers are sitting in the assembly. Oh, His Grace Janmashtami Prabhuji is sitting. One of my Bhakti Shastri teachers. Yesterday only I was speaking to some devotees about Prabhuji's lecture. he gave in 2013 in Juhu. And I asked the devotees that, Prabhuji is still there in Mayapur or somewhere else? They said, yes, Prabhuji is in Mayapur. And now we are having darshan of Prabhuji. Prabhuji, maybe you may have forgotten me. I'm Nimai Nitai Das from Juhu. You used to come Juhu many years ago, Prabhuji. So I seek the blessings of Prabhuji and all the Vaishnavas, and I can do this service in this place of worship of Srila Prabhupada. So feeling a little nervous also. Because I've never spoken in such an assembly and such a big place, Mayapur, where so many dear disciples of Srila Prabhupada and great followers of Srila Prabhupada, and presence of Srila Prabhupada is there in so many ways. So I'm feeling very humble also. So I especially beg the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and all the Vaishnavas that I can do this service for the pleasure of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada, and his followers. Thank you. So this is third canto. Maitreya and Vidura is discussing. And beginning, the chapter is entitled Further Inquiries by Vidura. But actually these further inquiries begin in the second half of the chapter. In the first half of the chapter, Vidura is carrying some queries from the last discussion in the previous chapter about creation of the universal form. So then, after hearing that, he asks questions to Maitreya Muni, few more questions. Before that, something so nice from the previous chapter, which I felt, my situation also. Text 36 in the last chapter, Maitreya Muni is feeling very humbled. In spite of my ability, whatever I have been able to hear from the spiritual master and whatever I could assimilate, I am now describing in glorification of the Lord by pure speech, for otherwise my power of speaking would remain unchaste. So this is the only reason I am also trying to do this service, to purify my power of speech and to engage this in the service of Krishna. Otherwise, whole life I am speaking like frogs only. And this is the highest professional gain of humanity, to engage in discussions of the activities of Krishna. Such activities are so nicely arranged in writing by the greatly learned sages that the actual purpose of the year is served just by being near them. So this is my situation also. So Maitreya Muni is remembering out of humility that how the reciting the glories of the Lord is so important, and that is most purifying, and that fulfills the purpose of this ability of speech given by Krishna. So then Vidura, in the beginning of this chapter, he asks 2-3 questions. The first question Vidurji asks is that it appears that Lord is so much in touch with the material energy, right? Before that again, see, Vidura is asking these questions. Very important to note. Uddhava told Vidurji that you go nearby Maitreya Muni. I don't want to do Maryada Vatikram. He is much senior elder to me, senior Vaishnava. You please go and ask questions to him about their Lord's name, form, pastimes, activities, etc. So ideally, when Vidura arrives in the lotus feet of Maitreya, he should be asking these things. But Srila Prabhupada writes in Canto 3, Chapter 5, Text 2, that out of natural humility, Vidura feels shy to directly ask, who am I to ask directly about the Lord's name, fame, pastimes and glories. Out of natural humility, he asks questions which are, suitable to common man. He says that, how does the Lord create this world and everything. So it is not artificially, superficially, the system has to be fulfilled. That I am very humble, please give your blessings. Okay, so now let us speak on Bhagavatam. Like I heard once one devotee spoke like this in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, very humbly, very humbly. And at the end somebody questioned him, Prabhuji, you spoke so humbly about yourself in the beginning. Our heart felt little embarrassed. He said, no, I am not so fallen, but this is a custom that you have to speak at the beginning of the Bhagavatam like this. It's a custom, I am not so fallen. You should understand, if I am sitting on the Bhagavatam Vyasasana, I must be something valuable, So it's not like that with Vidura. So when this topic of creation of the universal form in the previous chapter is going on, Vidurji is so attentive, so absorbed that he's getting these queries. We think if it is written in Bhagavatam, if it is spoken by Srila Prabhupada, must be right only. Now Vidura can think that no, Maitreya Muni speaking must be right only. So fine, let the tough part pass on. But no, Vidura is very attentive and is thinking that if Lord is interacting with the material nature so closely, directly, then how can you say that the Lord is not touched by the modes or not touching the material energy? It is like, somebody drinking liquor every day and he says that I am a teetotaler, that I never drink. So it's so obvious. Vidura is telling that it's so obvious that the Lord is interacting with the energy, and so he is asking that question, first question, in the third or fourth verse of this chapter, that how to understand that Lord is so much in dealing with this material energy, then how to understand that this unchangeable Lord, very beautiful words are there. Nirgunasya, avikarinaha, very beautiful words are there, very particular words are there, right? And then Vidura says chin matra. He is not chin maya, chid rupa, chin matra. He is only spiritual person. He is completely spiritual person. Prabhupada also writes in the Purport. He is completely spiritual person. Who? The very word chin matratva is guarantee that the Lord's activities are always transcendental and completely spiritual. He is completely spiritual also, and he is touching the material nature also. How it is possible? How to understand this? This is first question he is asking. And then next he is asking about the jiva. In text 5 and 6. So, he is asking, Deshatah kalato yosav, that the pure soul is never out of consciousness. Soul has to have consciousness always. You can never detach consciousness from soul. Consciousness is the symptom of soul. Right? So, then how to understand that when he is conscious, and consciousness means cognizance, then how he is trapped in illusion, how he is in ignorance. He is always conscious, he is always consciousness, and how I can be in ignorance. And then sixth question, he qualifies this question more, makes it more tough, that when super soul is present with the jiva always, then how it is possible that he is in ignorance and suffering? And Srila Prabhupada in that purport gives very wonderful analogy. A citizen of the state may be in misery for want of sufficient supervision by the state authority. But how can it be possible that a citizen suffers from other citizens while the chief of the state is personally present? And in the case of Atma, Paramatma is present right next to the Atma. It's very good questions, right? Very thoughtful questions. So, very intelligent questions Vidura is asking, that how to understand this fact. Because moving forward in the understanding of Lord's pastimes and name, first I want to understand this Srishti Leela of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada writes in Canto 2nd, Chapter 4, Text 10, Purport last. Very beautifully Srila Prabhupada writes that people don't understand that the Srishti Leela of the Lord, a Srishti Tattva of the Lord is as good, as potent, as powerful, as spiritual, as divine, as equally important as Ras Leela. And it is very important. Srila Prabhupada second canto, several times Srila Prabhupada reiterates this mood, that devotees should not bypass this section of second canto or such sections, understanding Srishti Tattva nicely. And like Vidura, we can see Srila Prabhupada being a great follower of Vidura, he himself also devotes such long elaborate purports on this in the second canto, in several places, very long purports to explain this very laboriously, painstakingly, for all of us, for thousands of years to come, that understand Srishti Tattva very nicely. So now as devotees we may, even when I started studying a Krishna book, whenever such things comes, prayers also come, we pass it, boring hai, kuch samajh mein aa nahi raha. I cannot just go to some, moving story. But then with passing years, it is very important that we understand. Otherwise, our absorption in the Vastava Vastu, in Krishna Tattva, in Guru Tattva, in valuing the instructions of Guru, this will not manifest. If we escape these sections, studying properly, Siddhanta Balya Chitta Kara Nakaralas, Yahite Krishna Lagi Sudrida Manas, our mind becomes, strong. Otherwise, what happens? A very simple practical example we can see in our life, in the world. that sometimes people may go to see a movie and there they may see the hero is suffering and hero's mother has died, and the elderly ladies who are watching the movie, they see immediately and their heart melts and they start crying tears that hero's mother has died, oh so bad, and now he's crying, oh my mother, you died. Right? And then the ladies and some emotional people, they are crying, and later they will cry equally when Gajendra is trapped. With equal vigor, with equal emotion, they will cry there also. And even in devotee's life also this can happen, that till the time everything is going good as per my so-called expectations, everything should go good, my health should be right, my respect should be intact, my position in the service area should be good, and everything going as, satisfying my ego and senses and mind, everything goes well and good, But the moment something shakes, immediately we become disturbed and we start, possible that we can start blaming others. Oh, he did cheating, he did politics, he did this gadbad, he did that, and we become very disturbed, completely oblivious that Bhagavatam does teach us how to take these situations from right first canto, bull, dharma bull section, and so many sections. So because we are so absorbed in the temporary elements of our life, good reputation, good house, good food, good recognition, good status in society also, and in Gaudiya Vaishnava society also. So, and sometimes we think because I am serving, I am going to temple, I am chanting Hare Krishna, I am taking prasadam, so all the spiritual elements are spiritual. But we are not conscious that heart of hearts, actually all the spiritual elements are there, and they will have some spiritual effect on my consciousness, no doubt. But my shelter in them is on the material level, on the level of satisfying my ego, mind and senses. And that is why when that little bit shakes, because Krishna wants to shake it to prepare us for the final shaking, that is death. Then we are all shaking that, he did this wrong, he did that wrong, this wrong and that wrong. We are not prepared, we are not educated ourselves to take it in a Vaishnava way. And that is why this section is important, very much, of Srishti Tattva. Understanding thoroughly that anything disconnected with Krishna in this world of matter, whether grossly or subtly, is a vastava vastu, is useless for any good, practical, permanent fruit, is useless. And thus such a devotee will not be affected. He will have that poise. In Hindi there is a word, theherav. Some of you may be knowing Hindi also. He will have that poise to not start blaming others, but devotees, seniors, juniors, equals, guru, immediately. He will have that poise. Okay, is my spiritual shelter shaken? My opportunity to chant Hare Krishna has gone away? No. Temples have gone away? No. Prabhupada's books have gone away? No. Guru's instructions have gone away? No. Devotee association has gone away? No. Prasadam has gone away? No. So all my spiritual vastava vastu things are intact. Then why I should be disturbed? Let me ask a question to myself. And then he can come to this understanding, okay, all these things are material. I am talking for a devotee. And for outside people, it's all the more relevant. But if I also start behaving like outside people, my behavior and outside people behavior in terms of turbulent times is same, then I should asking myself a question. Then how am I a better person than them? How does spirituality add any value or transformation to my dealings? Right? So this chapter, this section whole, Srishti Tattva, if we study very nicely, then what happens is that we understand this whole material world, big conglomeration of matter, is all going to destroy one day. And this is also part of that only. This is going to destroy very soon. Not very, late. So let me not be so much worried about it. Okay, disease has come. Now what best in this situation I can serve Krishna? Okay, now somebody has cheated me on some service. Okay, in this situation what best I can serve Krishna? How best I can serve Krishna? Krishna repeatedly tells, don't offend devotees. Okay, even if I am convinced that this devotee has cheated me, this devotee has done wrong to me, no problem. In this situation, what Krishna wants me to do, what Guru wants me to do? Okay, abridged version of service I will do, or some other service I will do. The opportunity to serve is not lost or not stolen from me ever. It's always there. So when we have studied this section very very nicely, then we can think like this. That is why Srila Prabhupada, even if you see in the previous purport also, very nicely Srila Prabhupada is doing what? Such a long purport Srila Prabhupada is giving in the previous verse. Such a long purport. Explaining with this analogy very nicely that the Lord never comes under Maya. Just like sun, although rainfall, clouds and snowfall, these three are the products of sun and they cause darkness for some people, right? But the sun is never affected by these three darkness producing things. Similarly, although this Maya has external energy has come from the Lord only, but external energy can never cover the Lord, but can cover the marginal energy. That is we. Srila Prabhupada very nicely explains, very painstaking, laboriously, 2-page purport. Srila Prabhupada gives 2.5-page purport to previous verse, explaining the situation of the Lord nicely. And then in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is very nicely telling that how the Jiva, using the example given by Maitreya Muni, that Jiva also is never covered. Jiva is always consciousness. He has always the knowledge. It is never lost. It is never cut and detached from him. No. But it is covered. It is covered. A similar question is asked by Parikshit Maharaj in the Canto 2, chapter 8. And beginning with chapter 9, the first answer what Shukadeva Goswami gives to Parikshit Maharaj, this same question is the same answer only he is giving. And in that purport, very nicely Srila Prabhupada is, I'll just read one section Srila Prabhupada is giving, very nice explanation of the situation of the Jiva. In that purport Srila Prabhupada is giving. Now this is 2.9.1 purport, last part of the purport. Now the next question automatically made will be, why the Lord influences the living entity? Right? To such consciousness and forgetfulness. Answer is that the Lord clearly wishes that every living entity be in his pure consciousness as a part and parcel of the Lord, and thus be engaged in the loving service of the Lord as he is constitutionally made. But because the living entity is partially independent also, he may not be willing to serve the Lord, but may try to become as independent as the Lord is. Like a small child says to father, Father, I will drive the car today. We are going from Mayapur to Calcutta. I will drive. I want to take your position. It's something like that only. All the non-devotee living entities are desirous of becoming equally as powerful as the Lord, although they are not fit to become so. The living entities are illusioned by the will of the Lord because they wanted to become like him, like a person who thinks of becoming a king without possessing the necessary qualification. When the living entity desires to become the Lord himself, he is put into a condition of dreaming that he is a king. Therefore, the first very important line, therefore, the first sinful will of the living entity is to become the Lord. The first sinful will, because of which everybody in this material world, except pure devotees who are sent by the Lord for preaching, everybody in this material world is sinful because of the first sinful will to become the Lord. And the consequent will of the Lord is that the living entity forget his factual life and thus dream of the land of utopia where he may become one like the Lord. The child cries to have the moon from the mother, and the mother gives the child a mirror to satisfy the crying and disturbing child with the reflection of the moon. Similarly, the crying child of the Lord is given over to the reflection, the material world, to lord it over as a karmi and to give this up in frustration to become one with the Lord. Both these stages are dreaming illusions only. Thus, only in dream does the misconception of I and mine persist life after life. This continues life after life as long as the living entity is not purely conscious of his identity as the subordinate part and parcel of the Lord. Jeev Krishna Das ei vishwas kar le to ar dukh nai Radha Krishna bol bol, bolo re sabai. Similarly, Mahaprabhu sings Jiva Jago, Jiva Jago, Gaura Chanda bole, Kata Nidra Jao Maya, Pishachi rakole, Bhajibo boliya aise, Samsara bhitare, Bhuliya rahile tumi, avidyara bhare. So, Acharyas are reminding, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is reminding repeatedly that, oh, wake up, sleeping, living entities, wake up to the reality. And if we do not wake up to this reality, then even as devotees, highly possible that we may look forward for securing our life in many ways, many ways. For both brahmacharis and grihasthas it is possible. For both. I am feeling little, I am not qualified, myself a beginner. But then we can see that in different ways, securing our status, securing our body, securing our health, securing our mediclaim, securing our emergency situations, securing my future. One devotee was asking His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj. He was a full-time devotee and a senior devotee, almost 40 plus. So he asked Maharaj, what about future for us? And Maharaj was quoting that shloka from Bhagavad Gita, that Yogakshema Vahamyaham. Thank you, Nitai Chandra Nimai Prabhu. Yogakshema Vahamyaham. And first Maharaj said, when he was absorbed in his question and he was just speaking his question, long question, and Maharaj wanted to interrupt and answer, Maharaj said, you are at 40. What about 70? And he could not understand what Maharaj is saying. He just went on with his question because he was having a loaded question. And Maharaj meant to awaken him to the reality that you are asking a question to a person who is 70. Right? And I have seen Maharaj because he comes to Juhu sometimes and I get opportunity to serve Maharaj a little bit. So I see Maharaj and I have told myself twice to Maharaj in last many years that Maharaj, you please take some personal servant or traveling partner. In this age also you are traveling alone with the luggage and his suitcase is also very heavy. So that is what Maharaj meant to express to him that I am at 70, traveling across the globe, dozens of countries alone. Depending on Krishna, I will take care some way or the other. So this very thought has plagued spiritualists always. We can see Srila Prabhupada, spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's great disciples, learned, educated, shastric disciples. Even they, was maybe worried about this very thing, and that's why they were securing their rooms in the Bagh Bazar temple, right? We hear the history. This room and that's security and that security. Because to overcome this bodily consciousness is not a joke. It's not a joke. It's not a child's play. It may take several lifetimes for us to come to the point where in chapter 5 Krishna telling, verse number 8. Just one second. I brought that verse. I don't remember that verse. That is why I am sorry. Naiva kinchit karomi iti yukto manyet tattuvit pashyan shrinvan spashan grigran ashnan gachan swapan shwasan pralapan visrajan grinnan unmisham nimishan napi indriyanindriyartheshu vartanta iti dharayan. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving or opening or closing of his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. Even to get this consciousness is not a joke. So, it's not a joke. It's a very strenuous sadhana is required, very strenuous, a regulated practice of morning program. For decades, for people like me may be required. And after that also we may be struggling being stooped back again into the gutter of sense gratification. Highly possible. So spiritualists are plagued with this worry of future. And these kind of sections, when you study very nicely, and Srila Prabhupada is helping us with his Bhaktivedanta purports, to study this section thoroughly, nicely, and to understand, at least theoretically be convinced and develop that vision. One of my very great friend and great shelter, His Grace Vishnu Tattva Prabhu, he studied chapter 13 of Gita once, nicely, thoroughly, for days, from hearing lectures and studying surrender unto me and so many things. Then he was telling Prabhuji, now my vision, I can see clearly the change of my vision. Everywhere I see, this is matter, this is not important vastu. So it changes our vision, it does change our vision. Although because of our maya, the craving, the vasana, sansara vasana is so strong, it doesn't last for many days. That is why we have to repeatedly study Srila Prabhupada's purports. I asked once this question to Srila Jayadvaita Maharaj. Maharaj, sometimes we see that some weaknesses we had overcome considerably well. We were not affected by them for a long period of time. And then suddenly we see that we are affected by those same outlook and that same orientation and that same weaknesses again. How to understand this? And Maharaj, when I was seeing this question, he had a big smile on his face. I was happy, at least my question brought smile to Maharaj. So then Maharaj very smilingly said, that is exactly why Srila Prabhupada repeats some points in his purports. Basically about Sambandha Gyan. Repeatedly he emphasizes, understand, because we are so much affected by sansara vasana. That is why the prayer is there, na? Sansara vasana kabhi tuchha habe. Vishaya chhadiya kabhi shuddha habe man. Kabhi hame hari bashri Mayapur one. Because it is same. Right? Samsara vasana kabhi tuchha habe man. It is not easy, it is not easy. Extremely strenuous morning program is required, as Srila Prabhupada always says. Srila Prabhupada has given this morning program. Many times devotees tend to invent or, tend to go to different tapasyas. Chaturmasya. One devotee showed me one video on YouTube on how to do Chaturmasya. New Shastra se bahut sare things, they brought and different things. But once I found a lecture of Srila Prabhupada, it's titled Real Austerity. It's I think 1976 ka lecture hai, October 1976 or 1973. Very simple austerity Srila Prabhupada is telling. Wake up 4 o'clock or before that, study Bhaktivedanta purports, and third I forgot, I'm sorry. Simple 3 austerities. And I thought, if these are the essence of all austerities, if we do these 3 austerities nicely, wake up 4 o'clock and don't go back to sleep. Wake up 4 o'clock and then do the whole morning program till 9 o'clock. So the Srila Prabhupada is telling the austerity. So Acharya is telling exact what you have to do, and slowly with passing years you will see that your vasana is weakening, and the desire to serve Vaishnava, desire to serve Guru is strengthening, and the satisfaction of selflessly ahetuki pratīyata service to Guru sometimes is happening. I am not on the platform to do that, but sometimes it is happening by me. Some moments, some thoughts, some opinions come in line exactly ahetuki pratīyata, and that gives me so satisfaction in my heart. Oh, so nice. You didn't get any material thing, no reputation, no recognition, no gadgets, no material profits, nothing. But that special satisfaction you just feel, oh, so nice. And that is what we are looking for. That's little taste here and there of such, selfless, ahetuki pratīyata, crumbs of, devotional service, pure devotional service. But that will manifest when Paramatma and Bhakti Devi is satisfied. Prabhupada writes in Canto 4, chapter 24, shloka number 59 or 65 purport. And when Bhakti Devi sees somebody following very sincerely the instructions of spiritual master in his given situation, even when he is alone, Bhakti Devi is satisfied. Then Bhakti Devi gives him. That when I read that, I said, oh, cha. I thought externally, if I make a show off to everybody, I am on time, I have proper dress, my tilak is proper, I did proper pranam, everybody sees me, then the bhakti is increasing. I always thought like that, but when I read that purport, hey, some third person is there and he is always watching what you are doing in any situation, and the agency of delivering you the proper product, bhakti, is with that person. So every moment you have to consciously do your actions and thoughts right. then only the product will be delivered to you. That is selfless bhakti, to serve Guru and Krishna. And that only will satisfy. That only will satisfy. So we can see that Vidura is asking this question and Maitreya Muni is answering that he is covered because he only desired, because of his free will, to enjoy this world, and that was the first sinful will, because of which he got covered by the Lord's external energy, and that is Lord's mercy. That is Lord's mercy, that you exhaust this desire and then you come back to me. And for exhausting that desire, the whole material existence Krishna has created. Sometimes while preaching to youths, the boy is, I am trying to do youth preaching service sometimes. So the boy, we are trying to convince him that, Prabhu, please understand, do this. And he is not understanding, and then I become heavy. And then still he is not getting the point, and I want to tell him many examples from many angles from my experience and to convince him that you do it this way only, what I am telling you from today. And once actually, many times you do this. And once I was sitting in my room chanting and Paramatma sent this thought. Krishna is so humble that he is not doing like this what I am doing with that boy. He is telling, okay, I create this whole world, you exhaust the way you want to do it, you want to work out, you want to try happiness. After when you have exhausted Bahunam Janmanamante, then okay, I am waiting for you, then you come back. That day I could see clearly difference and I could understand why Krishna has created such a big, because we are so jiddi, we are so stubborn, we are so convinced that I will squeeze out some pleasure from this material sense, a contact of material senses with the sense objects. I will squeeze out. Something is there. Whole world is squeezing out pleasure. Only few ISKCON devotees are only telling me otherwise. So because of that, we are so stubborn that even as devotees we want to squeeze out some pleasure by the contact of senses and sense objects. Krishna says, okay, I have created this big world, you try it out. You try it out. So, but we should understand that this world is matter, it is dead, and I am spirit, I am not of this category, I can never enjoy this world, spirit can never enjoy matter. And if we study this section, it will be very helpful, that we will not cry when our near and dear ones die, when my business is lost. Crying is not a problem. Arjuna also cried when Abhimanyu died. Crying is not a problem. Let us understand very properly. Weeping is not a problem. Lamenting is not a problem. But if a devotee goes into the zone that God does not exist or God is very cruel, if he goes into that zone of karmi zone, that is wrong. Or if he starts blaming ISKCON or devotees or situations or guru or management, or that is also wrong. He should come back to his task of executing service to Guru and Krishna in whatever facility now provided by them. Crying, no problem. Arjuna also cried. No problem. But come back to your service to Guru and Krishna. Not that you are now dysfunctional for months or years or maybe whole life. No. Then we have missed this point. You have to come back. Few days, okay, here and there. Elongated disturbance, okay, fine. And some complaints, qualms, okay. But then come back to serving Guru and Krishna in this situation, whatever awarded by Guru and Krishna now. Earlier situation also was given by Guru and Krishna. Now this situation also given by Guru and Krishna. Ask them, pray for their mercy, guidance, how I can serve in this situation. And that is what we can see Srila Prabhupada. When Allahabad factory was lost, when Allahabad factory was lost or burglarized or fire, I forgot now, Lucknow or Allahabad, whatever. So that was lost. So Srila Prabhupada said, okay, Krishna's plan, maybe Krishna has some plan to engage me in a different way. He didn't say, oh, this was my whole shelter to print BTG. Guru Maharaj told, collect money and distribute books. This was my whole independence and, this is lost. Prabhupada, Krishna cheated me. Krishna is not there and then everybody is in politics. No. Whereas, when $5,000 of Mr. Price affair was lost, there Prabhupada did not say, okay, Krishna wants, then whatever facility now Krishna has given, let me do it. No. There Prabhupada was like fire on job, I have to get this money back. Because Krishna's money, there is getting disturbed. We are not impersonalists. That you become, some devotee is dead, we become, no problem. No, we can cry. But for Krishna, for devotees, for Krishna's purpose, for Guru's purpose, Srila Prabhupada's purpose, that we can see Srila Prabhupada. For $5,000, how much Prabhupada was ready to work hard. And for Juhu, we can see how much they are ready to work hard. So this is how this understanding helps us practically in our life today. And we should not skip these sections. We should study thoroughly these sections. They change our vision of seeing ISKCON and seeing my situation and seeing this world and my relatives and my possessions in this world. And this gift of Srila Prabhupada, let us cherish the association of devotees. In Punjabi Bagh community, one devotee, he lost 100 crore rupees in business in one shot. 100 crore rupees he lost just 4 years ago, 4-5 years ago. And devotees asked him, Prabhuji, you should have gone mad. He said, actually I was going to go mad. 100 crore rupees is not a joke. But Srila Prabhupada and his association of devotees saved me. I could handle and I could take this shock. And in that situation also, he was in that year, he was going for book distribution, collecting funds, distributing Bhagavad Gita with equal enthusiasm. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Prabhupada's purports ki. Thank you very much. I beg any mistakes or any transgressions of adhikar. I beg the blessings of Vaishnavas that I can apply in my life this little understanding and serve the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Wow, you've come a long way since 2011, Prabhu. Nice class. One point that I find very helpful in processing these disturbing circumstances, if we see Krishna's hand behind it for purification, like in 1.9.19, Purport, there's the passing of Bhishma Dev. Prabhupada says in the Purport, the distresses the devotee undergoes is another transcendental bhav with the Lord. And then also Prabhupada told Giriraj Swami that the distresses, that Krishna takes charge of our sinful reactions and uses them to help us make a spiritual advancement. So that kind of, it's a love, and then we don't, it's not, we don't just have to understand this is temporary and it's, we don't have anything to do with it, but we also understand that Krishna is behind it to purify us, to bring us closer to Him. Oops, I wasn't close enough. Was it audible?
Yes.
Was audible? Yeah? Okay. Well, just a small point. I found that to be very helpful, that kind of mindset, when the challenges come our way. And then it's much easier to stay balanced when we say, this is actually Krishna. He loves me. He wants me to come back to Him. And He's putting me in difficulties so I become detached.
Thank you. Any corrections or? Yes, corrections are first welcome and then question. Prabhuji, any comment you would like to say?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Very nice class. So I have a question. I don't know the story by heart, but at least one part of the story of the Juhu temple, as far as I remember, there's a part where I think Nair, or what his name was, he died. And apparently Prabhupada, did he say, oh, I prayed that would happen, or he was just happy? Do you recall the details?
Yes. Srila Giriraj Maharaj does recall.
And also, my question is how to understand that from the right perspective. Because apparently it's a stressful situation, and Prabhupada prayed that this would happen, or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
You would like to answer? So, Srila Giriraj Maharaj recalls, I will speak first, then I will beg Prabhuji to correct me. So Giriraj Maharaj recalls this, when Srila Prabhupada was informed by devotees that this news has come in the newspaper, Srila Prabhupada said, yes, thank you Krishna, I prayed for it. And then Srila Giriraj Maharaj does give that explanation, Modita sadhur api vrishchika sarpahatya. Modita sadhur api vrishchika sarpahatya. That Srila Saraswati Thakur, once when a poisonous snake entered the Chaitanya Mutt, so Saraswati Thakur said that snake be killed. He killed the snake. So Prabhupada at that time was confused that how Guru Maharaj, how sadhu person can tell like this. But later when Srila Prabhupada read this shloka in 7th canto Bhagavatam, that even a sadhu is pleased when an envious living entity is killed, who is unnecessarily troubling others. Even a sadhu is pleased. But then how to understand that a pure devotee whose only fiber of the consciousness is to benefit others? How a pure devotee can get this thought? So my understanding, which I beg Prabhuji can correct, is that a pure devotee, when he sees that this person is in this life is going to bring, like in snake life, this is going to bite only unnecessarily. Similarly, this person is going to bring trouble to devotees and to Gauranga's vision only, then better he leave this body. And surely embedded in that thought, for a pure devotee, embedded by default, without need to checking, is a well wish for the devotee. Like Agastya Muni cursing Gajendra or Narad Muni cursing Nalakur Manigriv. Embedded in that thought is a future welfare for that person. Surely we can be undoubtedly be sure about that, because we know Srila Prabhupada. He delivered the whole world. He gave Krishna to the whole world. So it is for his good only, and temporarily it is apparent that Prabhupada prayed that he leave this body better, to help the mission go on. Like this is my understanding. I beg Prabhuji, and Prabhuji would like to correct, please.
Write down the reference. You quoted something, I just would like to look up the reference.
That verse.
For better understanding.
That verse Prabhuji is asking, right?
Yeah, just so I can look back to it later on.
I'll tell you after the class, I'll tell you that
Thank
verse.
you.
In 7th canto it is there. Would you like to correct my understanding?
Hare Krishna. This Mr. Nair, he was a very cunning man. He actually wanted to sell the same land to 3 people because he can get 3 times the money with that idea. So he thought Prabhupada is sadhu, he must be very innocent. So he sold to ISKCON, and then he was selling to 2 other people who wanted to do that. Prabhupada was very smart, naturally. So at that time, he thought that this Swamiji has put some Western people there. So at one time he sent some hoodlums to beat up the devotees with chains. And also American Matajis were wearing saris, they were pulling the saris. And he had one newspaper where he was publishing wrong information about ISKCON devotees as CIA agents, and they should be driven out of India and things like that. So he was not just an ordinary demon, he was a very special demon in that sense. He was not just not giving the land, but he was also actively pursuing, torturing and tormenting of the devotees to such a degree that devotees begged Prabhupada that we want to quit this property and go and live in the Seaface Park. They had another small property. Prabhupada said, don't quit this property at any cost. I have promised Radha Rasbihari that I will give you a temple here. And this man may throw tantrums only for a short while, but Krishna will severely punish him. So Prabhupada said, so when a pure devotee desires that Krishna's mission not be thwarted, so Krishna took that man away. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam 7th canto, there is a verse which says, Modeta sadhurapi vrishchika sarpahatya, which means, Prahlad Maharaj says this, that when a vicious serpent or a scorpion is seen, one should not feed milk and feed bananas to that. Because payam panam bhujanganam kevalam vishavardhanam. If you give bananas and milk to a serpent, it will increase its poison and it will also bite others. So, just as when my boil becomes too big, doctor doesn't give me medicine to appease it, rather he takes a scalpel, and so the demons get benefit by being killed by the Lord. Because Lord ultimately benefits them, that's the way they can be purified. But if somebody is less than a demon, they are purifiable.
Thank you very much, Ruby. So the verse is 7.9.14. 7. Prahlad Maharaj's prayer is beginning only, just 5th verse, 6th verse. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Sri Mayapur Dham ki. Thank you, Hare Krishna.